Hey friends, Ali back again with you. Today we are slowing down and moving through some gentle yoga for tight hamstrings. So we'll get into the back of the legs with some sweet, slow yin postures. When you're ready, we'll get started and I'll meet you laying down on your back. All right, so getting settled, laying down on your back. You can start here with your knees bent and soles of the feet on the mat just to give the low back a little chance to settle and adjust. And while we're here, let's start by placing your hands on your belly, or one on your belly, one on your chest, and we'll just get grounded here for the practice. You can soften your eyes or close them. Feel the weight in the back of the body, sinking down in the back of the hips and shoulders. Heaviness in the back of your head. Fully supported here by the earth, by your yoga mat. Allowing all distractions to dissolve. And allowing yourself to settle into this shape, this moment, breath by breath. Feel your inhale as the air travels in your nostrils, fills up your chest and belly. And just a gentle exhale as you release and empty out that air. Keeping you focused simply in the moment. As we create a little space today, and from here, when you're ready, let's bend the knees. Draw your thighs into your belly. Wrap your arms around your legs. You could catch the back of the legs or wrap them around the shins. And just take a little rock and roll side to side. We'll massage the lower back. If you're rolling in circles one way, let's go the other way. Switch it up. And now bring your left foot back to the mat and let's extend the right leg up any amount. Now you can always keep a bend in your right leg if you've got those tight hamstrings that we're working through today. Interlace your fingers behind the back of your right leg. And we're just settling here. You want to make sure that your right hip isn't lifting off the mat. Ground it down and be less worried about the shape that you're making and more focused just on the stretch. We don't want it to be too much. We don't need the leg to start shaking. And from here, if you're feeling a little more open, you're welcome to extend your left leg out on your mat as well. So just hanging out here in these yin postures, we want to use as little effort as possible. So you kind of create this basket with your hands to support the back of your leg, and then you allow your leg to fall into your hands with just the most gentle effort of your hands supporting the back of your leg wherever it is. As we sink into the shape, we'll allow gravity and time to take over and do the work for us. So just relax here and focus in on your breath. If the mind is busy or the thoughts are wandering, it's all good. You are human, so that will happen. Just observe in those moments and then kind of get curious with the idea of just bringing it back to your breath. Let go of any stories, any judgments, any expectations that show up. Simply just landing here with breath. And let's go ahead and first bend your right knee again. Hug the thigh into your belly. Little compression for the front of the hip. And then not a slingshot movement, but a really slow release. Let that leg go. Come into a Shavasana. Extend both of your legs out on the mat and just land for a moment. There's this kind of echo effect that happens after a yin pose. So we feel that settling in the body. We notice it. And then we let it go. Let's bend both knees again. Hug your thighs to your belly. Little rock side to side. Right foot to the mat. We'll take the other side. Left leg rises up. Don't worry about trying to match the other side. Just feel your way into this one for the stretch in the back of the leg. So you can stay, again, bend your knee as much as you need it. Just make sure you still feel a stretch there. And again, with the option to extend your right leg out with your heel heavy on the mat, if that's what works best for you today here. Now you'll notice that one side probably feels pretty different than the other side. I know for me, I'm pretty uneven one side to the other, and that's okay. That's just how your body is from past injuries or physical situations that you've been through if you were an athlete or if you have a job that kind of is one-sided on the body. You'll start to notice those things as we slow down in these yin practices, and I always find it kind of interesting to learn more about the body that way. It doesn't have to be negative or positive, it just is what it is. So as you observe that in the body, see where you can soften. I'm here practicing with you in the jungle of Tulum, Mexico. So I have the lovely distractions of things like birds and wind behind me. And any kind of distractions that do come up, you can use them as part of your practice to pull you back into the moment. So there are these subtle or not so subtle reminders for you to just be here with whatever you're working through as you soften into this shape and just simply breathe. Notice if there's any part in the face that starts to get tense or tight. And see if you can let that go a little bit here. And let's release this one. You can bend your knee again. Draw your thigh into your belly. Give it a little squeeze. Slow motion movement as you extend your leg out. Bring it back to Shavasana just for a moment to observe and land. Let's take a big stretch from here. Reach your arms over your head. Press your toes away from you. Stretch through the tops of the fingers. Keep one arm over your head and we'll roll right through, coming up to a seated position. Take your time. So as you come up to a seat, we're going to move into half butterfly pose here. So you'll be seated, bend your left knee, And the foot kind of lines up in front of you, right in the middle, and then your right leg will come out to a diagonal. So you'll probably feel that stretch in the back of the right leg. We opened it up subtly already, but we're still working on that. You are welcome to keep the knee bent if you need, or slide if you have a yoga block or a cushion, slide that right underneath your knee. And then when you're ready, you'll start to hinge forward with your upper body, any amount. So we're also getting this sweet stretch into the low back. So it's really just feel it out in your own body and see where you feel that stretch in the back of your right leg. It can be, you want it to be a little more subtle to start, not too intense, because that can grow over time. And then again, we just soften into the shape. So if it feels okay, you can let your head drop down. If it's too much on your low back, just feel free to stay more upright, especially if you already feel that stretch in the back of the leg. You don't need to hinge forward. And still allowing the weight of the back of both hips to be grounded onto your mat. And just feel it out here. If there's anywhere that you're feeling there's tension, it might be in the shoulders, or you might be drawing in the belly or scrunching at the toes. Just try to release those areas and relax into the shape a little more. Okay, we'll come out of the pose here. Press into your hands. Slowly roll your spine, your chest back up. You can reach toward the right knee, catch the back of it, just to support, bringing the knee back up, bending your knee, bringing your leg back in. Hug both knees in, give them a squeeze. And we'll shift that over to the other side. So your right foot is in front of you. Extend your left leg out on a diagonal. From here, again, the option to stay more upright, or when you're ready, you'll start to hinge forward. Try not to overthink your version of the shape. Just feel it out, see what works. Let each of your exhales give you a little more space to relax into the shape. Check in with your breath. Make sure it's not getting too short or sharp here. And let's bring it right back up. Press into your hands, slowly rise up. Reach to that left knee, bend it, support it as you bring your legs back together. Little squeeze here. And now keep your knees bent, feet down on the mat, and just bring your hands behind you, lean back into your hands. We'll take a little movement just by dropping your knees side to side, left to right a couple of times. Resetting the spine here after that forward fold. Maybe a little puff up through the chest. You could look up. And we'll bring it into one more shape here before we get to our final shape. And this is Straddle Pose, so kind of the full version of what you just did with one leg out at a time. Now we're bringing both legs out in a wide-legged position. So again, if you want to place anything under your knees to support them with a bit of a bend, feel free to do that. And also you can stay more upright if this works best for you. Otherwise, one more time, we'll start to crawl the hands forward any amount so that you come to your version of the shape where you feel that stretch in the back of your thighs, your hamstrings. Remember not pushing it too hard, especially at the beginning of the pose. Make sure you find yourself in a place where you can still breathe pretty naturally without too much force. Slow, gentle breaths. And let's come out of it now. Press into your hands again, supporting yourself as you lift your spine back up. Let's reach to the back of the knees. Catch those, bend your knees, feet on the mat. One more time, drop your knees side to side. And we'll turn around to lay on your back, finishing off the practice in a sweet, sweet Shavasana. Take your time to get there. Extend your legs out. Take a little space up here. So definitely, if you have the room, allow your heels to land wider than the edges of your mat. Let the back of your hands land on the floor outside of your mat. A little tuck under with your shoulder blades as you sink the hips and shoulders back down one more time. Arms can stay by your sides, or if it helps you to stay present in the moment with your breath, maybe one more time placing your hands on your belly, or one on your belly, one on your chest. Just feel your own breath here. This shape is a simple yet powerful one, so I always encourage you to hang out here longer as long as you have it. If you want to make your way back up with me to a seat, when you're ready, little wiggle in the fingers and toes. One more big stretch, reach overhead, press your toes away from you. Roll through one side of the body and we'll come back up to a seated position. I want to thank you for having the courage to show up and find peace within. I'll see you next time. Namaste.